For more on this, we're going to welcome back Michelle Schneider, Partner and Director of Trading Research and Education for MarketGauge.com. Michelle, good to see you as always. Let's start with Tesla here, the $1.5 billion in Bitcoin it just purchased now. Elon Musk, he's been extremely vocal on Twitter about Bitcoin, especially as of late. Could he have used this to kind of prop up the price of Bitcoin for his own benefit? We know Musk also has been tweeting frequently about Dogecoin, which is about a fraction of the price of Bitcoin, but each time he tweets about it, that price jumps 20 to 30%.
Well, hi, Sarah. Well, I think there's a couple of things that we have to think about before we go into whether or not he's manipulating the price of Bitcoin. The market cap of Bitcoin is $1 trillion. So $1.5 billion is less than 1% of the market cap of Bitcoin. So yes, he could be a market mover, mostly because he gets in, and of course everybody jumps in as well. But Bitcoin's been on its own trajectory for a while, and once it took out 40,000 over the weekend, it dipped a little bit, and then of course we saw it go back there today. So in terms of his ability to manipulate, we know that he has a history of talking down his own stock price, and then the price goes right back up. I don't know if I would necessarily say that this was some grand design by him to get the Bitcoin price up after he bought or whatever. It is, though, interesting, and when you have a profile like his, that he can at least have some kind of influence on a knee-jerk reaction to what happens to the price of anything he decides to talk about, like you just said with Dogecoin.
Yeah, he's pretty popular going with that. But Tesla also said it's going to start accepting Bitcoin as payment in exchange for some of its products. It would be the first automaker to actually do so. Is this a sign of a weakening dollar? I mean, we know Bitcoin has been extremely volatile, so as much as it can go up, it can also go down.
Well, that's true. And of course, in terms of the dollar, we've seen the dollar been weak now for quite some time, with a recent pop having more tied to yields. But in terms, getting back to your question, what it really relates to more is the fact that now foreign countries do not have to convert their currency in order to buy a Tesla. So for example, China, where it's very popular to buy Teslas right now, does not have to worry about converting it into yuan. They can do it through Bitcoin. So I think he's taking a chance here in terms of, like you say, the value of Bitcoin staying firm. But on the other hand, it seems that even before all of this happened, there have been so many bullish projections for Bitcoin, number one. And number two is a lot of companies have already done that. For example, PayPal, which gives you money back. And we know that Bitcoin is going to get more and more standardization. When I say that, I don't necessarily mean regulated. I mean that there will be more ways to trade it if you are not interested in just inserting your credit card to buy flat out Bitcoin. So I think this is already a trend started. He's continuing it, and we'll see more to follow.
Isn't that something Bitcoin was trying to stay away from, though?
They're trying to stay away from regulation, absolutely, but they cannot control, like, for example, the Winklevoss twins, who want to start a Gemini, not only credit card, but also a way to trade Bitcoin. And we know that right now, I think Canada actually started, or was it the CME, excuse me, started Ethereum futures. So when I talk about being able to trade it, I mean more away from actually buying the actual Bitcoin. But like, for example, we already can do it through Riot, for example, which is a blockchain company, MicroStrategy, another blockchain company, PayPal, which is using it. So there are already ways around it. I don't know if they're going to be able to control, let's say, an ETF that might come out. There's already one GBTC, but it's an over-the-counter.
Well, Michelle, I do want to turn to markets here. 3 major indices in the United States, all hitting new record highs. The Senate and the House, they voted to move forward through reconciliation. Essentially, this allows, the Democrats to expedite this relief package without the Republican vote. Is this why markets are so optimistic, because of the stimulus?
I think that's one reason, is because of the stimulus. I think there's also been a couple of other economic statistics that came out more on the manufacturing and industrial side that has also shown that there's some growth. And we can see, even in terms of just the manufacturing in the United States and the earnings, we've had 80%, I think, of the S&P stocks already report, and a lot of them well beat expectations. And then there's the vaccine. So there's so many reasons why people are optimistic now that the economy economy is going to recover. And the stimulus, of course, is the icing on the cake because it also brings in what we also have seen since April, which is more retail investments into the market. So it's all kind of one giant snowball right now working together, rolling in the same direction.
I want to get to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and her comments, Sunday comments, talking about how she expects the United States to reach full employment by 2022 with the help of this stimulus plan. But obviously, we're seeing mutations of the virus, issues with vaccine distribution. Do you see this being the case? Are we going to reach full recovery by 2022?
Well, that might be not only overly optimistic. I think the whole idea of how jobs look is changed forever as a result of the pandemic. There'll be businesses that are just lost and won't come back. The way people are employed will change, more working at home. And so I think we have to look at the fact that full unemployment may not look exactly the way it looked, say, 2 years ago before all of this happened. So I do believe that we will see more jobs created, and of course if they pass some kind of a infrastructure package, that would help. If they pass cannabis, that would help. But in terms of the actual way jobs look, they will be different. And maybe, like I said, she's a little bit optimistic in terms of full recovery.
Right. We're already seeing a lot of difference, especially with President Biden. Although he said that the $15 minimum wage is not going to be included in this relief package, he promises to address it later, which will be really interesting because Bernie Sanders is obviously arguing for it to pass now. However, we'll see what happens. And if it does pass, it would cut 1.4 million jobs, but not something that we necessarily need. Michelle Schneider of the Market Gauge Group, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sarah.